Welcome back, everyone, to the Gold IRA Blueprint. If you're a retiree,
Hmm.
someone who's nearing retirement or maybe just thinking about, securing your financial future, this is definitely the deep dive for you.
That's right. Especially these days, if you've worked hard, you've built a comfortable nest egg, it's it's more important than ever to make sure that that money lasts.
Exactly. And today, we're diving deep into an area that's specifically designed for those with a little bit more to protect.
Hmm.
We're talking about those of you with, maybe 100,000, 5 million, or even more saved up in your IRAs, 401k, or just, savings accounts in general.
That's right. We're talking about high net worth individuals who really need to protect our assets.
And before we get too far into this, I do want to mention something really valuable for our listeners. We've put together a free Gold IRA checklist that you can find down in the episode
No,
description.
that's a great resource.
Yeah, it's packed with tips specifically for folks like you who are in that higher wealth bracket,
Hmm.
and it really make the whole process of opening a Gold IRA, much easier.
I highly recommend checking that out. It's a great starting point.
Absolutely. So let's kind of set the stage here.
Ah.
We've all seen the headlines. The economy can be a bit unpredictable these days, to say the least.
Yeah, it can be a roller coaster ride.
It can be.
Yeah.
And living costs, well, they seem to just keep going up and away.
Yeah, tell me about it.
It can be a little unnerving, especially when you're thinking about, those retirement years, those golden years where you want to relax and enjoy, the fruits of your labor.
Right, you don't want to be constantly worried about outliving your money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, how do you protect yourself? How do you create that sense of stability and security when it seems like everything around you is in flux?
And that's where gold IRAs can really come into play.
Yeah, we talk a lot about diversification on this show,
Yeah.
and it's a principle that applies to pretty much everyone.
Diversification is key no matter how much money you have.
But for wealthy individuals, diversification takes on a whole new level of importance, right?
Oh, absolutely. The stakes are higher, the potential losses are greater.
So how does gold fit into this equation of creating a secure financial future when you've got, substantial assets to protect?
Well, gold has this unique characteristic that sets it apart from, traditional stocks and bonds. It's a tangible asset.
Tangible. So we're not talking about,
Yeah.
some abstract number on a screen,
Right. It's something real, something you can hold in your hand.
like an actual gold bar.
Well, in the case of a gold IRA, it's not like you'd have bars stacked up in your basement. There are security concerns there.
Right, of course.
But the gold is physically held in a secure depository.
Okay, so it's not like I'm gonna have Fort Knox in my backyard.
Exactly. It's held in a specialized facility that's, IRS approved and incredibly secure.
Okay, so I'm picturing, armed guards, vaults, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. You got multiple layers of protection, 24/7 monitoring the works.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. But let's be honest, I've always thought of gold as being kind of, volatile.
Yeah, I hear you. The price can go up and down, but that's usually in the short term.
Okay.
If you look at the long-term performance of gold, it tells a different story.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Gold has this amazing ability to hold its value over time.
Interesting.
And here's the thing, when the economy gets shaky, when the stock and bond markets start to tumble, guess what often happens to gold?
I'm almost afraid to ask.
It often goes up.
Oh, so it's like a safe haven when everything else is going crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why gold has historically been seen as a hedge against inflation and market volatility.
Okay, so it's like an insurance policy for your portfolio.
Hmm.
You hope you never have to use it, but you're sure glad you have it when things get rough.
That's a great way to put it.
Now, all this sounds great in theory, but, let's address the elephant in the room. Anytime someone starts talking about gold investments, my inner skeptics start screaming, scam.
I understand the skepticism. There are definitely bad actors out there, just like in any industry.
So how do I protect myself?
Yeah.
How do I know I'm not, falling into a trap, especially when we're talking about, significant sums of money?
Well, the key is knowledge. You need to know what to look for in a gold IRA provider to avoid those shady operators. And remember that free checklist we mentioned earlier?
Right.
It's a great resource to help you spot those red flags and choose a reputable provider.
Okay, so knowledge is power. Armed with the right information, I can make smarter decisions.
Exactly.
So let's unpack this. What are some of the red flags, the things that should make me run for the hills when I'm, shopping around for a gold IRA provider?
Well, first and foremost, you want to look at the reputation and experience. How long have they been in business? Do they have a proven track record of satisfied clients?
Okay. So not some fly-by-night operation that just popped up yesterday?
Right. You want to work with a company that's been around the block, that has a solid reputation in the industry.
Makes sense. What else should I be paying attention to?
Fees are crucial. Just like with any financial product, you need to understand the fee structure. Some custodians have higher fees than others, and those costs can eat into your returns over time.
Gotcha. So I need to do my homework and compare fees carefully.
Absolutely. A reputable provider will be transparent about their fees up front.
Okay, transparency is key.
Yeah.
What about the actual gold itself? How do I know that it's secure and that I'm not getting duped?
That's where due diligence comes in.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that the provider uses reputable insured depositories that meet the highest industry standards.
Okay, so we're not talking about some shady warehouse where the gold might magically disappear.
No. You want to look for things like regular third-party audits, secure storage facilities with multiple layers of protection, and a proven track record of security.
Right. It's my retirement savings we're talking about here. No cutting corners. So we've got experience, fees, security. Anything else I should be thinking about?
Yes, don't overlook customer service. You want a provider that's responsive, helpful, and available to answer your questions. This is a big financial decision. You deserve clear communication and excellent support every step of the way.
Absolutely. I want to feel like I'm in good hands.
Exactly. You want to work with a provider that understands your needs and is there to guide you through the process.
Okay, this is all starting to make a lot more sense. But, I'm a big believer in seeing how things work in the real world.
Huh.
Can you give me some examples of how this has played out for, other wealthy retirees who've taken the plunge into gold IRAs?
I'd be happy to. Let's take the example of John and Sarah Smith, a couple in their late 60s. They had built a comfortable nest egg, but a recent market downturn had them understandably worried.
I can relate to that.
Right, so they decided to diversify a portion of their traditional retirement savings into a gold IRA.
Now, before we dive into their story, I just want to remind everyone listening that we've got that free Gold IRA checklist available in the episode description.
Oh yes, that's a great resource.
It covers everything we're talking about, and it can be incredibly helpful as you navigate this whole Gold IRA world.
Definitely check it out.
Okay, now let's hear about John and Sarah. What happened after they invested in gold?
Well, they saw their portfolio stabilize even as the stock market continued to fluctuate their money, while Gold IRA acted as a buffer, protecting their overall retirement savings today. They have a sense of security, knowing that a portion of their wealth is held in a tangible asset, safe from the whims of the market.
That's a great example of how a gold IRA can provide peace of mind during volatile times. What about someone with even more significant wealth, say someone like Peter Adams, a retired executive with a multi-million-dollar portfolio?
Peter's story is particularly interesting. He was concerned about preserving his wealth, not just for himself, but for his children and grandchildren. He saw gold as a way to hedge against inflation and protect his legacy from potential economic downturns over time. His gold IRA has appreciated significantly, becoming a cornerstone of his estate planning strategy.
These real-world examples really highlight how gold IRAs can be tailored to different financial goals and concerns. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the practicalities. Let's say I'm convinced and want to explore a gold IRA. How do I actually get started? What are the steps involved?
It's simpler than you might think. The first step is choosing a custodian, a financial institution that will hold your precious metals on your behalf. Remember, due to IRS regulations, you can't just store gold bars under your mattress.
Makes sense. So I wouldn't actually have the gold in my possession where it would be kept.
Exactly. Your gold would be held in an IRS-approved depository, a highly secure facility specifically designed for storing precious metals. These depositories have stringent security measures in place. Think armed guards, surveillance systems, and strict access protocols.
Okay, so security is covered. What happens next? How do I actually get the gold into this depository?
Once you have a custodian, you'll need to fund your gold IRA. You can do this by rolling over funds from an existing retirement account, like your 401k, or traditional IRA, or by making a direct contribution.
Ah, so I could potentially move some of my existing retirement savings into gold without incurring any tax penalties. That's a big plus.
Precisely. It's a popular and tax-efficient way to diversify your portfolio. And once your account is funded, you can work with your custodian to select the specific types of gold you want to purchase.
Hold on, types of gold? I thought it was all just gold.
Yeah.
What are my options here?
You have a few choices. You can purchase gold coins like American Eagles or Canadian Maple Leafs, which are popular among collectors and investors alike. Then there are gold bars available in various weights, which offer a lower premium over the spot price of gold. And if you prefer a more hands-off approach, you can invest in gold ETFs, which track the price of gold on the market.
Wow. So there's quite a bit of flexibility within a gold IRA, but I'm curious, with all these options, what are some potential downsides? Is there anything I should be aware of before jumping in?
That's a great question, and it's important to be aware of the full picture. One thing to consider is that gold doesn't generate income like dividends from stocks or interest from bonds.
So it's more about preserving capital and hedging against risk than generating a steady stream of income.
Precisely, another factor to consider is liquidity. While gold is generally considered a liquid asset, selling physical gold can take a bit longer than selling stocks or bonds, particularly if you need to liquidate a large holding quickly.
Okay, so it's not as instantly accessible as some other investments. Anything else I should keep in mind?
It's also essential to factor in storage costs while depositories are highly secure. They do charge fees for storing your precious metals. These fees can vary depending on the provider and the amount of gold you're storing.
So it's crucial to weigh those costs against the potential benefits of owning gold. This is why that free gold IRA checklist we've been talking about is so valuable. It guides you through these considerations and helps you make informed decisions. Remember, you can find it in the episode description.
Absolutely. Now let's address something I know is on many retirees' minds: taxes. How are gold IRAs taxed?
Yes, taxes are always a key consideration, especially when it comes to retirement savings. Can you break it down for us?
Of course, gold IRAs are taxed similarly to traditional IRAs. Your contributions may be tax deductible, and your earnings grow tax deferred. This means you won't pay taxes on your gains until you withdraw funds in retirement.
So it's essentially the same tax treatment as my existing retirement accounts that simplifies things.
Yes, for the most part, however, there are some nuances to consider, especially when it comes to rollovers and withdrawals. It's always wise to consult with a qualified tax advisor to ensure you're maximizing your tax benefits and complying with IRS regulations.
That's excellent advice. Now, before we wrap up this section, I want to touch on something that I think is particularly relevant for our listeners, those with substantial wealth estate planning. How can a gold IRA be integrated into a broader estate planning strategy?
That's a great question. Gold, with its historical track record of preserving wealth across generations, can be a valuable asset to include in your estate plan by designating beneficiaries for your gold IRA. You can ensure a smooth transfer of wealth to your loved ones.
So it's not just about protecting my wealth during my retirement, but also about passing on a legacy to future generations.
Exactly. Gold can play a significant role in both. It's about ensuring that your hard-earned wealth is protected and passed on according to your wishes.
This has been incredibly insightful, but before we move on to our final thoughts, I want to remind everyone about that free gold IRA checklist we've mentioned throughout the episode. It's a fantastic resource packed with tips and information specifically designed for wealthy American retirees like yourself. You can find it in the episode description. Don't miss out on this valuable tool. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into gold IRAs today, I want to kind of step back and look at the bigger picture here. You know, this growing interest in gold. What does it tell us about the current state of retirement planning? It seems like more and more people are looking beyond, those traditional stocks and bonds.
Yeah, it's an interesting trend for sure. I think it reflects a growing desire for stability, for control. In a world that feels increasingly uncertain, people are realizing that, maybe those traditional approaches to retirement planning, they might not be enough anymore, especially with all the economic volatility and geopolitical risks. And let's not forget about rising inflation.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, that sense of control. Yeah, it's not just about the numbers. It's about feeling confident that you've taken steps to protect your future,
Yeah.
your lifestyle, your legacy.
Exactly. And gold, with its historical track record of preserving wealth, across generations, it really offers that sense of security. It's a tangible asset, something that's held its value through, wars, depressions, countless market cycles. It's almost like a way to opt out of the system, to hold something of real intrinsic worth outside of the fluctuations of fiat currencies and paper assets.
It's like going back to the basics, holding a piece of history in your hand.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that resonates with a lot of people, especially those who've, seen firsthand how quickly paper wealth can disappear, when a crisis hits.
Right. So let's bring it back to our listeners, the folks who are actively planning for a secure and enjoyable retirement. What are the key takeaways that you want them to walk away with today?
Well, first and foremost, diversification is key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Gold can be a powerful tool to diversify your portfolio and hedge against risk.
And we're not saying, go all in on gold,
Yeah.
abandon all your other investments.
Well, it's about finding that balance, that sweet spot where your portfolio can weather any storm.
Exactly. So diversification, that's number one. What else?
Don't be intimidated by the process. Setting up a gold IRA, it's more straightforward than you might think. And you don't have to go it alone. There are resources out there like that free gold IRA checklist we've been talking about.
Yes. That checklist is a gold mine of information, pun intended.
It'll guide you every step of the way.
So don't miss out on that. You can find it down in the episode description.
Absolutely. And finally, and this is perhaps the most important takeaway, retirement, it should be a time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, not to be stressed out about finances.
Exactly. You've worked hard. You deserve to relax and enjoy those golden years.
By taking proactive steps to secure your financial future, you can really embrace those retirement years with peace of mind, knowing that, your wealth is protected and your legacy is secure.
Well said. That's a great note to end on. So thank you, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive into gold IRAs. We hope you found it insightful and empowering. And if you're ready to explore this further, don't forget to grab that free checklist down in the episode description. It's your first step toward a more secure and fulfilling retirement. Till next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep